Alright, so here with the Blade 500X, this will be my first real flight with this helicopter. I hover tested it. Obviously, the big difference here with the X is that we have this Beast AR7200BX controller on it. Now, they have the 7210 and the 7300 now, so this is kind of one of the older units right here. Now, if you haven't flown the X before, of course, there is a little bit of a learning curve here. This system works differently than anything that we are used to. So say opposed to the Blade 500 3D, where you got it, you bound it up, and you put some parameters into your remote, and you went off and you flew. This is a different type of unit here. This unit here requires some programming to program the endpoints of the servos and to get it oriented properly on the helicopter. This unit requires some programming. Now, I'm assuming if you bought the Buy and Fly, that programming is probably already done for you. This helicopter I did purchase used, and it is already, the programming is already done. I did check some of the parameters. You have to put in like some parameters on the servos, and I went into the programming menu, and the color of the status light that's over here tells you what mode it's in for what frequencies, and the colors were appropriate to the servos that were in it. So I believe it is set up properly, but there's two tiers of adjustment menus in this unit. The first tier is for setup, and the second tier is for flight. Now, the most important one in my mind for the flight adjustment menus is parameter A is your flying type, okay? Because you're not just binding and flying it directly. It's got different flight modes, if you will. So there's 5 of them. And when I initially hovered the helicopter, I was surprised by how soft the controls were. They weren't as aggressive as I expected them to be. Now, when I went into this and I got into the flight menu, sure enough, 1 out of 5, this thing was set at a level 1. Okay, so I got in there and I changed it and I upped it to a level 3 just to see what the difference is. Now, I'll probably fly it on a 4 or a 5, but I don't want to make a radical change all at once. So I went from level 1, which I believe was a solid red light. I can't exactly remember, and I upped it to the 3rd flight mode. So we should see a difference there. So if you're considering this helicopter, if you've flown flybar and you're looking at a flybarless system, just be aware when you get into it, usually all these controls are found in the remote are now all found in this unit, because this unit is doing assistance here, so it needs to know all these parameters. So the programming is not overly complicated. There's a great video, I believe it's George Jungle RC does an awesome video on this unit where he's got multiple screens up where he shows the menus, and he shows what he's doing, and he shows where you can get some information, all 3 screens on one. Rather than make a video on how to program it, just his video is really good. I believe it's Jungle George or George's Jungle RC on YouTube. You definitely want to watch that video if this is something that you're going to get into. That'll go through the programming certainly a lot better. I'm not going through the programming today. I'm just giving you some rough ideas. So if you're going to fly this, you got to really kind of get up on this unit right here before you start to fly, because it's different than anything that came before it. And so other than that, it's just got some aircraft monocoat on the tail boom to help visibility. And this servo has been changed out to an Align DS655. Other than that, it's all factory. I don't know if it's because this is a 7200, which was the first generation. My DX9 was not working with it. It bound, but I had no pitch control. So before I went crazy trying to figure it out, I just bound up my DX6 and it works fine. So maybe I can get that figured out and get it sorted and get my DX9 on there in the future, but for now I'm just flying it with the DX6. I'm not sure that the DX9 is compatible with this. I know this thing calls for one servo 90-degree arrangement, which is in that remote, is not in the DX9. So I don't know if that unit is ever going to be compatible with the DX9, but I'll figure that out in the future. So flying a Turnigy 3.0 3000 milliamp battery here. These are all the batteries that I fly with my 500 3D, and here we go, our first flight with the 500X. Got that on, got it in hold mode, regular mode, flight mode. So check out our lights here. You can see them kind of running and then they'll stable out. All right, beautiful, looks good. I believe everything is good here. That light is blue, which I believe is telling me that the gyro is in heading lock mode, which is what I want. Seems to work good enough. So it's all ready to fly now. Put it down, and of course my last step, take my blade holders off and put my blades out. So hold mode is off, we're in regular flight mode. Just double checking all my switches are usually in the down position or in the down position. And here we go. Definitely got a different feeling than yesterday. Now it's in flight mode 3, so it should be flying a little different. A little more aggressively. Tail's got a little bit of a shimmy to it. I bet you the gain is a little higher than we want it. So I just put it in stunt mode. I'm gonna give it some altitude here. Yeah, it definitely seems to respond well to stunt mode. Just rolled it over and it certainly I didn't lose any altitude at all, so that's a good sign. I'm gonna give it a little more height and I'm gonna try that again. Okay, so I was actually able to gain some height there with my stunt mode. So definitely flying as expected in stunt mode. All right, so it did a little lower and no issues at all there. No loss in altitude. I'm gonna try just a little bit lower. All right, no loss in altitude. Did it about 25 feet off the ground that time and didn't find myself wandering. So, all right. So definitely flying as expected for the most part. Jumping up to that third flight mode I think has made a difference. little more aggressive, but still not as much as I like it. Throttle response is definitely slower than what I'm used to. I tell you, you get this thing out in the sun, it looks like the Cheeto helicopter. It's all orange and yellow. Flies good. I'm happy with it. My last RC, my last helicopter I picked up used, did not fly so well. I didn't have such a good experience with that. This one, I think its previous owner set it up pretty good. I'm pretty happy with it. Yeah. It's for right out of the box. It's about as good as it gets, I think. I don't know. So I got a couple of changes I'm gonna make. I'm gonna throw a T-Rex 500 landing skid on it. It's just a little beefier. Other than that, I'm probably just gonna do a bunch of flying with it. I'm in flight mode 3 now, which I'm gonna switch that and go to 5, right to 5, because I'm not digging this. It's okay, but. So I just went back to regular flight mode. You could hear the speed of the blades slow down. I'm gonna take it out and do a 360, see how that goes. Wow, juice shy. Definitely did it, but not feeling the power like I usually do. I don't know if that's the mode or the wear on this motor. I don't know if you could hear it, but it just doesn't have that jump that I'm used to. Definitely went out and did the 360. Here she comes. So I've got some people walking over there in the distance, and I definitely don't want to fly over them. So there it is, Blade 500X, first real flight. I'm not gonna push it. I'm happy with it. It's threw it in 3D mode. Now it's back in 3D mode now. No altitude loss doing the 360 there in 3D mode. Definitely seems to be just doing great. I'm happy with it. Back in regular mode, you can hear it kind of tuned down a little. I'm just gonna kind of idle it a little here, burn this battery just a little. And this is where I'm talking, my 3D is like concrete in the air. That thing is so reactive to my throttle stick, so responsive. This thing is, you can kind of see it, just a little mushier. Now maybe that's those level 3 settings, and I get in there and bump it up to level 5, it'll be more aggressive, maybe. One last. Oh yeah, we're definitely landing this thing now. I can definitely tell the power. We may have hit. Yeah, so that was right at, let me see here. That was right at 5.5 minutes. and it was almost like it cut the power back. So there it is, Blade 500.